Our good friend John, the gentleman from Arkansas, is of the opinion I shall become Americanized. Here is an introduction he has suggested. I'll give it a go.
Yo, chumps! What's up? What do you think? Oh, don't be like that. It is my first attempt. As each and every one of you will now be aware, parts 1A and B and part 2 of the Regentone RG99 2 restoration series are now lost. A hiccup? Most certainly. But the show will go on. It is not my intention to bore anyone with material already covered, but since I like to think that each vintage radio restoration video will be a sort of reference for whatever reasons in the future, I'll resume by presenting an abridged version of what was parts 1A and B, that is to say the pre-power assessment, familiarising oneself with the circuit diagram. 240 volts AC at 50 cycles per second is fed into the mains TX primary winding. The high voltage winding or secondary feed goes to both the anodes of the full wave rectifier 6X5G via R21 and R22 limiting surge reduction resistors, which are both valued at 100 ohms. The low voltage winding on the secondary side feeds the valve heaters and lamp filaments. DC from pin 5 of 6X5G is smoothed by EC2 and EC3. Both are 30 microfarad electrolytics, and from the limiting resistor R20, which is a 1K, the HT rail is formed. Please note that the chassis of the radio is not set at absolute negative. The smoothing capacitor negatives, the grid bias resistor R14, which is a 120K, and the R15, which is a 75 ohms of this potential divider, and the bypass electrolytic capacitor EC1, which is a 50 microfarads, connect to absolute negative or the power supply negative. V4 is a Mullard EL33 output pentode. Its variable tone is controlled by a 3-position switch, and R19 limits the level of tone from capacitor C21, which is a 0.05 microfarad, and C5, which is a 0.01, is a fixed tone correction capacitor. V3, which is a Mullard metallized EBC33, is a double diode triode valve. The triode side is the preamplifier to the audio output valve V4. From its anode, that is pin 3, a capacitor C19, which is a 10 nanofarad, feeds audio frequency into grid 1 pin 5 of the V4 via R17 just here, which is a 10K, which is a grid stopper resistor. The double diode section of
V33 forms a second detector. Audio frequency component in rectified output is developed across the volume control R9, which is a 1/4 meg or 250k log, via low resistor R8, this is a 47k. The second diode of V3 forms the feedback or the delay, which is the standing bias for the AGC via R10, which is a 1 meg, and R4, which is a 47k for the exode side of V1 via the tuned circuits L2, L3 and L4. Now the V1 is a Mullard metallized ECH35, which is a triode hexode frequency changer and mixer. The exode side or frequency changer is also known as the first detector. The triode oscillator coil from the anode, that is going to be L6, and the triode grid tuned circuits L5, L7 and L8 form the local oscillator circuit. Station tuning is via the rotation of variable capacitors VC4 and VC5. V2, which is a screened pentode 6K7G, operates as the IF amplifier with tuned transformer couplings. It also gets a feed from the AGC delay line from the coupling of the secondary of the IF transformer over V1 into its grid 1 just here, which is going to be the top cap. Now, I do not know the intermediate frequency for this radio, but I would guess it to be somewhere between 465 to say 470 kilocycles per second. Phew! Whilst coming up for air, after delivering that lacklustre performance, I'll quickly show you this majestic Earlswood 260 series made in the USA by Grigsby Grunhow for the British market at around, I would guess, 1933 to 1935. As you'll see here and around here, there are a few woodworm holes. I killed the little blighters with cuprinol woodworm killer. As you'll see here, Majestic had premises at the Majestic Works, Tariff Road, Tottenham, London N17, also at Manchester, Glasgow, Birmingham, Newcastle upon Tyne and Cardiff. This here is the 260 series, which incorporates the Knight's Wood, the Earl's Wood, which of course is this one here, the Prince Wood and the King's Wood. The Prince Wood and the King's Wood must have looked very spectacular, and of course, as we can see, they were not cheap radios. And of course, here is the circuit diagram for this radio, and I've also got lots of literature that have come with it, so got plenty to keep me going. I have not as yet applied 240 volts AC to this set. when you see the condition of the old wiring in the back, you'll see why. Apart from the decayed condition of the wiring just here, and of course just here and here, and no doubt elsewhere, this chassis is in reasonably good condition. Now, that is what I call a mains transformer. It'll definitely make for a decent restoration job, as and when I get round to it.
So, back to something far less flash. This Regentone chassis will be stripped of its components, and hopefully in my next video there will be time for some paint spraying. So dear friends, it's good to spend time with each other. In the meantime, to all my American fellow vintage radio restorers, may your Thanksgiving be a good one. This is Phil saying 73s to each and every one of you.